1936. What if I told you that a single penny from 1936, one that most people spent without a second thought, could now be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars? That's right. The humble 1936 no-mint Mark Lincoln Monticello penny has become one of the most sought-after treasures among collectors, and chances are, one might be sitting in your old change jar right now. Picture this, it's the mid-1930s. America is pulling itself out of the Great Depression. Families are scraping by, and every single penny truly mattered. A young boy in Illinois collects a handful of coins from his father's hardware store counter, among them, a shiny 1936 penny. He pockets it without a thought, carries it for years, and eventually leaves it in a dusty cigar box in his attic. Decades later, his grandson finds that same coin and discovers it's no ordinary cent. It's one of the rare 1936 Lincoln pennies without a mint mark, struck with such perfection and scarcity that collectors now compete fiercely to own one. Here's what makes this coin so special. The 1936 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny was produced in Philadelphia during a year of transition and experimentation in the mint's processes. Many of these coins were struck with double dies or early die states, giving them an unusual sharpness and distinct details, especially around Lincoln's eye and the date. Only a limited number have survived in top condition, and those few examples in high grades can bring in thousands of dollars at auction. Even circulated ones can fetch impressive prices due to the sheer collector demand. Over the years, countless people have spent these coins unknowingly, buying a cup of coffee or handing one to a child for candy, never realizing they were parting with a tiny piece of history worth a small fortune today. Imagine how many of these 1936 treasures slipped through the cracks, hiding for decades in pockets, jars, and drawers, waiting for someone with a keen eye to rediscover them. If you happen to have a 1936 penny, pick it up and take a close look. There should be no mint mark below the date. That means it was made in Philadelphia. The coin features Abraham Lincoln on the front and the wheat ears reverse, a design loved by collectors. Examine the date and lettering carefully. Any signs of doubling, sharp details, or strong luster can increase its value dramatically. And if it's been well preserved all these years, you might just be holding a collector's dream. If you suspect you found one, don't guess, get it professionally graded. Send it to PCGS or NGC, the trusted coin grading services used by serious collectors. Their certification can turn a curious old penny into a verified treasure, often multiplying its value overnight. That old jar of coins in your kitchen, the one you've been meaning to sort through. It might not just hold memories, it could hold your future. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes, that story can change your life. So go ahead, check your change, dust off those old boxes, and see what history you've been holding on to all these years. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you uncover the stories, the history, and the hidden fortune waiting right in your hands. 1939. What if a simple penny from 1939, something you might have spent on candy as a kid, could now be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars? Imagine holding in your hand not just a coin, but a piece of American history from a time when our nation was finding its strength again after the Great Depression. Picture this, a man cleaning out his late father's coin jar in Denver finds a small, reddish-brown penny. It looked ordinary, but the year caught his eye, 1939. He almost tossed it back, until that tiny D mint mark below the date stopped him. That coin, struck in Denver during a year when fewer than expected were minted, turned out to be a rare 1939 D Lincoln wheat penny, a treasure hidden in plain sight. Each mark, each faint scratch, whispered stories from a time when every cent truly mattered. The 1939 D Lincoln wheat penny is no ordinary coin. Struck at the Denver Mint, this little piece of copper carries a story of limited mintage and historical timing. Only a small number were perfectly preserved, and those in pristine condition, especially ones with sharp details and original luster, are commanding serious attention from collectors today. High-grade examples have fetched over $1,000 at auctions, proving just how valuable a simple penny can become when time and rarity meet. Many people have had these coins and never realized their worth. Some have unknowingly spent them at gas stations, or rolled them up in change jars during moves. One collector once shared how his grandmother used to give him old wheat pennies for good luck, and years later, he discovered one of them was a 1939 D worth hundreds. Don't let your story be one of regret. These coins are still out there, hiding quietly in coffee cans, drawers, and jars across America. The coin you want to look for is the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny with a clear D mint mark just below the date. The detail on Lincoln's coat and the sharp wheat stalks on the reverse are signs of strong strikes, the kind collectors dream of finding. Even circulated ones in good shape can carry surprising value today. That if you think you found one, get it verified by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. These experts can confirm authenticity and grade your coin, potentially unlocking its true market value. That old penny jar in your kitchen, the one that's been there for decades, could be holding a tiny piece of America's past in your next big discovery. Every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth far more than we ever imagined. So take another look. Your 1939 D Lincoln penny might just be waiting to shine again. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you find history hiding in plain sight, one coin at a time. 1940. What if I told you that a single penny from 1940, one that might be sitting quietly in your old coin jar, could be worth far more than you ever imagined? A small, copper coin with a tiny S beneath the date, a penny that carries the heart of America's history and the spirit of a generation that endured and triumphed. Picture this, it's the early 1940s. The world is at war, families are rationing sugar and gasoline, and young men are leaving home to defend freedom overseas. Back in San Francisco, where this special 1940 Lincoln penny was minted, workers at the mint pressed millions of coins, each one stamped with precision, each carrying the face of President Lincoln and the proud words, E pluribus unum. But among those millions, a few were struck differently, slightly off, slightly unique, the kind of differences collectors today dream of finding. Over the decades, most of these coins were spent, lost, or forgotten. Yet, a handful have survived, tucked away in old cigar boxes, forgotten drawers, and dusty jars that time itself seems to have sealed away. The 1940 Lincoln penny has become one of the most desirable coins from the early 20th century, especially when it's found in pristine, uncirculated condition. Struck in San Francisco, the S mint mark gives it a special place in collectors' hearts. What makes some of these pennies exceptionally valuable are subtle minting errors, double dies, off-center strikes, and perfect red luster finishes that have survived the passage of time. Depending on the grade, some of these little copper treasures have sold for hundreds, even thousands, of dollars. And every day, more collectors are waking up to its hidden potential. Imagine this. A man once paid for a cup of coffee with a 1940 penny that could have covered his rent for months. He had no idea. And that's what happens every day, priceless pieces of American history passing through hands that never look close enough. Don't let your story be one of regret. Don't let history slip through your fingers. That if you're holding a penny dated 1940 with an S mint mark just below the date, stop and take a closer look. Examine its color, its shine, the sharpness of Lincoln's image. If you notice doubling in the lettering, or a flawless copper-red surface with no signs of wear, you might be holding something special, something that could turn an ordinary day into one you'll never forget. Before you rush to spend it, have it checked by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. These experts can confirm its authenticity and condition, turning your curiosity into confidence, and possibly, into cash. That old jar in your kitchen, that coffee tin in the garage. They're not just filled with coins, they're filled with stories, with history, with opportunity. The 1940 Lincoln penny reminds us that even the smallest pieces of our past can hold the greatest value today. So before you let another coin slip away, take a moment to look closer. You never know what history you might be holding. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you find history hiding in plain sight. 1941. What if I told you that a single penny from 1941, a coin you might have spent on candy as a child, could be worth a small fortune today? That's right, a simple Lincoln Monticello penny with no mint mark has collectors across America on the hunt. It's not just a piece of copper, it's a living memory from a time when our nation was on the brink of war, and every coin carried a story. Back in 1941, America was still climbing out of the Great Depression. Young boys delivered newspapers for a nickel, and mothers stretched every penny to make a meal last. In the midst of all that, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Lincoln pennies, but among them, a small number stood out. Some had striking differences, small imperfections, and subtle details that went unnoticed for decades. Imagine someone in the 1940s slipping one of these rare beauties into a jar, never knowing it might someday be worth hundreds, or even thousands, to the right collector. The 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, made in Philadelphia, is special not because it's rare in number, but because of the pristine examples, the full sharp details, and certain die varieties that have become legends among collectors. Many show strong, double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile or the words, "In God We Trust," appear slightly doubled, creating a mysterious shadow effect. And when found in brilliant, uncirculated condition, these coins have fetched astonishing prices at auction, with some crossing into the thousands of dollars. I've heard stories from collectors who once had these coins sitting in drawers, only to spend them unknowingly. One man told me he used his childhood penny collection to buy baseball cards in the 1950s, and years later, realized that one of those 1941 no-mint mark pennies could have paid for his grandson's college tuition. It's a powerful reminder. The small things we overlook often turn out to be our greatest treasures. If you're holding a 1941 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, take a closer look. Check the date carefully, especially for doubling on the numbers or letters. Examine Lincoln's face for clear, crisp lines that stand out. If the color still shines a deep, reddish copper and there's minimal wear, you could be looking at a true collector's gem that's in high demand across the U.S. coin market today. Once you believe you have something special, don't rush to sell it. Send it to a trusted grading company like PCGS or NGC. These experts can authenticate your coin and confirm its grade, which can dramatically increase its value. Remember, collectors want verified history, not just old copper. So before you toss that old jar of coins back into the closet, take one more look. That 1941 penny, that little piece of the past, might just hold the story of your future. Because every coin we find connects us to the people who once held it, and the times that shaped us. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you uncover the history hiding in plain sight, one coin, one story, one discovery at a time. 1942. What if I told you a single penny from the early days of World War II could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars today? A coin so ordinary looking that most people have probably spent it without a second thought, yet collectors everywhere are racing to find it. I'm talking about the 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a small piece of copper that carries a story far bigger than its size. Picture this, it's 1942. The world is at war. Families are saving every scrap of metal, and the U.S. Mint is under pressure to conserve resources for the war effort. Amidst all this, millions of Lincoln pennies were struck, but some, made in Philadelphia with no mint mark, came out with a distinct brilliance and composition that set them apart. Over the decades, these little coins quietly circulated through pockets, piggy banks, and soda machines, until collectors began to realize that not all 1942 pennies were created equal. Some were struck with remarkable precision, others with tiny variations in die design, and those subtle details made all the difference. The 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, minted in Philadelphia, has become one of the most sought-after wartime coins. While it looks like a simple copper penny, collectors treasure it for its high-grade condition, its historical link to the wartime economy, and its scarcity in uncirculated form. The ones that remain bright and sharp, especially with full wheat lines on the reverse, can easily fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their grade. It's living history, preserved in metal. So many people have unknowingly let this treasure slip through their hands. A man once brought a jar of old change to a bank in the 1980s, only to learn years later that one of those ordinary 1942 pennies could have paid for a semester of college tuition. Stories like these remind us that fortune doesn't always shine. Sometimes, it hides beneath a little copper dust. Don't let that be your story. If you come across a 1942 Lincoln penny without any mint mark under the date, take a close look at it. The surface should have a deep, rich copper tone and show Lincoln's profile in sharp detail. The back should read E pluribus unum with strong, defined wheat stalks, a sign of a higher quality strike. Coins like that are what collectors dream of finding. If you believe you found one in great condition, don't clean it, just protect it. Then have it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. These trusted services can confirm its authenticity and grade, often unlocking its real value. That old jar in your kitchen. That box of pennies passed down from your father or grandfather. It might hold more than memories, it could hold your next big discovery. History hides in plain sight, and sometimes, it jingles right in your pocket. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where every coin tells a story, and every story might just change your life. 1941. What if I told you that a single penny from 1941, a coin you might have spent on candy as a child, could be worth a small fortune today? That's right, a simple Lincoln Monticello penny with no mint mark has collectors across America on the hunt. It's not just a piece of copper, it's a living memory from a time when our nation was on the brink of war, and every coin carried a story. Back in 1941, America was still climbing out of the Great Depression. Young boys delivered newspapers for a nickel, and mothers stretched every penny to make a meal last. In the midst of all that, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Lincoln pennies, but among them, a small number stood out. Some had striking differences, small imperfections, and subtle details that went unnoticed for decades. Imagine someone in the 1940s slipping one of these rare beauties into a jar, never knowing it might someday be worth hundreds, or even thousands, to the right collector. The 1941 no mint mark Lincoln penny, made in Philadelphia, is special not because it's rare in number, but because of the pristine examples, the full sharp details, and certain die varieties that have become legends among collectors. Many show strong, double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile or the words, "In God We Trust," appear slightly doubled, creating a mysterious shadow effect. And when found in brilliant, uncirculated condition, these coins have fetched astonishing prices at auction, with some crossing into the thousands of dollars. I've heard stories from collectors who once had these coins sitting in drawers, only to spend them unknowingly. One man told me he used his childhood penny collection to buy baseball cards in the 1950s, and years later, realized that one of those 1941 no mint mark pennies could have paid for his grandson's college tuition. It's a powerful reminder, the small things we overlook often turn out to be our greatest treasures. If you're holding a 1941 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, take a closer look. Check the date carefully, especially for doubling on the numbers or letters. Examine Lincoln's face for clear, crisp lines that stand out. If the color still shines a deep, reddish copper and there's minimal wear, you could be looking at a true collector's gem that's in high demand across the U.S. coin market today. Once you believe you have something special, don't rush to sell it. Send it to a trusted grading company like PCGS or NGC. These experts can authenticate your coin and confirm its grade, which can dramatically increase its value. Remember, collectors want verified history, not just old copper. So before you toss that old jar of coins back into the closet, take one more look. That 1941 penny, that little piece of the past, might just hold the story of your future. Because every coin we find connects us to the people who once held it, and the times that shaped us. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you uncover the history hiding in plain sight, one coin, one story, one discovery at a time. 1944. What if I told you that a single penny from the 1940s, one that looks just like the ones you might have carried in your pocket as a kid, could be worth thousands today? Yes, a simple copper coin, the 1944 no mint mark Lincoln penny, is now one of the most sought-after treasures in American coin collecting. Picture this, it's the mid-1940s. The world is at war, families are rationing everything, and young boys are collecting pennies to buy war stamps. One day, a boy in Illinois finds a shiny penny and slips it into his pocket, thinking nothing of it. Decades later, that very same coin, forgotten in a jar on a dusty shelf, turns out to be a 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a piece of American history worth a small fortune. These coins were struck in a time of change, when the U.S. Mint was shifting metals for the war effort. And amid that change, a few unique errors slipped through, creating coins that collectors dream of finding even today. The 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is special because, during that year, the mint switched back from steel to copper after producing steel cents in 1943 for the war. But here's where the mystery begins. A few leftover steel planchets accidentally got struck with the 1944 design. If your 1944 penny is made of steel instead of copper and doesn't have a mint mark under the date, you could be holding one of the rarest and most valuable pennies in American history. Some of these have sold for over $100,000 at auction, simply because of this historic minting error. Too many times, people have spent these pennies without realizing their worth. There are stories of folks cashing in their old jars of change, never knowing that inside might have been a small piece of history that could have changed their lives. Don't let that happen to you. Every coin tells a story, and this one could be the story of your fortune. Check your 1944 pennies carefully. If it has no mint mark below the date and sticks to a magnet, you might just have the rare 1944 steel cent. The color will look silvery, not coppery. That's your sign that you found something extraordinary. If you believe you found one, don't clean it or handle it roughly. Send it to a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC, or take it to a reputable coin dealer. They can confirm authenticity and condition, both of which determine how much your treasure is truly worth. So before you toss that old jar of coins or trade them in for pocket change, take a closer look. That little Lincoln cent from your past might just be your ticket to something amazing. Because sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you find history hiding in plain sight. 1948. What if I told you that a simple penny from 1948, one you might have walked past 1,000 times, could be worth hundreds, even thousands, today? That's right, a small copper coin, carrying the image of President Lincoln, with no mint mark at all, is now one of the most talked about treasures among coin collectors. Imagine the thrill of realizing that a forgotten coin from your childhood could hold real value, not just in dollars, but in history itself. Back in 1948, America was healing from the scars of war. Families were rebuilding, veterans were returning home, and children traded shiny new pennies for marbles and baseball cards. Among those humble coins was the 1948 Lincoln cent, a coin that seemed ordinary then but would one day become a collector's dream. Picture this: a man cleaning out his late father's dresser finds an old cigar box filled with pennies. Inside, one coin catches his eye, worn, but glowing in the light. He takes it to a dealer out of curiosity, and learns it's a rare 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, now worth far more than anyone ever imagined. That's the magic of discovery. The 1948 Lincoln penny without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia, but not all of them were created equal. Some carry small variations, slight die errors, doubled features, or unusually sharp details that set them apart. Collectors prize these coins for their rarity and the craftsmanship of their era. What makes them so valuable is their scarcity in top condition. Most were heavily circulated, worn down through decades of everyday use. Finding one in crisp, uncirculated shape today is like uncovering a piece of living history, a survivor from a time when a penny still meant something. Too many people have unknowingly spent or given away these small treasures. One collector once recalled finding dozens of 1948 pennies as a child, but he used them in a candy machine before he ever knew what they were worth. Today, even an average condition piece can fetch far more than a single cent, and pristine examples are in high demand among serious collectors. Every day, coins like this slip through hands, tossed aside as change, never to be seen again. Don't let that be your story. When you pick up an old penny, take a closer look. You're looking for the 1948 date, and just below it, nothing. No mint mark. That's what makes it special. Look for the sharp profile of Lincoln, the clean lettering on Liberty, and the classic wheat ears on the back. the famous wheat penny design that ended a few short years later. These small details can mean the difference between an ordinary coin and a piece of American legacy that if you think you found one, don't guess, have it checked by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. These experts can confirm its authenticity, grade its condition, and help you understand its real market value. A properly certified coin could be worth far more than you imagine, especially as collector interest in early Lincoln cents continues to grow. That old jar sitting on your kitchen counter, the one filled with pennies you've been meaning to cash in. It might hold more than loose change, it might hold a story, a piece of your past, and a small fortune waiting to be rediscovered. Every coin has a journey, and yours could be the next great find. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you uncover the hidden wealth and wonder of America's forgotten coins, because sometimes, history really does hide in plain sight. 1949. What if I told you, a single penny from 1949, one you might have handled as a child, could be worth far more than you ever imagined today? That's right, a simple 1949 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, the kind that once jingled in pockets during simpler times, is now one of the most sought-after treasures among collectors. This little coin, often overlooked and forgotten in drawers or jars, holds a story that connects generations, and possibly, your own past. Picture this. It's 1949. America is rebuilding after the war. Gas costs 17 cents a gallon, and a penny still means something. In small-town America, a young boy named Thomas Lincoln, yes, sharing the name of the great president, walks into a corner store with a few cents clutched in his hand. He buys a soda, drops a penny, and it rolls beneath the counter, lost for decades. Fast forward 70 years later, that same coin is discovered in an old cash register drawer during an estate cleanout, and when appraised, its value left everyone speechless. It wasn't just any penny, it was the 1949 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, preserved through time like a secret message from history. Now, here's what makes this coin so special. The 1949 penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, but not all were created equal. Some were struck with exceptional sharpness and detail, creating proof-like surfaces that shine unlike ordinary coins. A few have rare die variations, subtle doubling on the date, or crisp details in Lincoln's hair and jacket that mark them as unique. High-grade examples have sold for hundreds to thousands of dollars at auction, especially when perfectly preserved in uncirculated condition. Collectors today are eagerly hunting them down, not just for their value, but for the piece of post-war history they represent. Sadly, most people never knew what they had. Countless 1949 pennies were spent at diners, dropped on sidewalks, or handed to grandkids as good luck. Many of those could have been rare specimens, now gone forever. Imagine tossing away a small piece of history that could have paid for a vacation, or even added to your retirement. That's why knowing what to look for today could make all the difference tomorrow. When you pick up a 1949 penny, turn it toward the light. Notice if there's no mint mark below the date. That's your first clue. Examine the details, the lines in Lincoln's hair, the sharpness of the lettering, the clean strike of Monticello on the reverse. If it looks unusually crisp or shines differently, you might just be holding one of those rare survivors that collectors dream about. Before you assume it's just another old coin, take it to a trusted coin shop or send it to professional graders like PCGS or NGC. They'll confirm its authenticity and condition, and if it's one of the top quality strikes, you could be in for an incredible surprise. Many collectors and investors are actively seeking this exact penny today, making it one of the hottest hidden treasures in circulation. So before you toss that old jar of change aside, take another look. That humble little 1949 penny might not just be copper, it could be a time capsule, a reminder of America's golden years, and perhaps your key to something extraordinary. Your memories, your family's past, and maybe even a small fortune could be hiding in plain sight. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where every coin tells a story, and history might just be waiting in your own hands. 1950. What if I told you that a simple penny, one that's been sitting quietly in your change jar for decades, could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars today? The 1950 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may look ordinary, but for collectors, it's become one of the most talked about hidden treasures in American coin history. Imagine this, it's 1950. The war is over, America is booming, and the Lincoln cent is as common as the air we breathe. Kids trade them for bubblegum, fathers drop them in jukeboxes, and mothers save them in coffee tins. But among the millions of coins that rolled off the presses, a few from Philadelphia, with no mint mark at all, were struck with unusually crisp details and near-perfect copper tones. Decades later, an old man cleaning out his attic in Illinois stumbled upon a roll of these forgotten 1950 pennies, tucked away since his youth. When he finally had them appraised, one coin, just one, changed his life. So what makes the 1950 no-mint mark Lincoln penny so special? First, it was minted in Philadelphia, the only U.S. mint that didn't use a mint mark at that time. But what truly sets it apart is its scarcity in pristine condition. While millions were made, only a tiny fraction survived without scratches, fading, or wear. A 1950 no-mint mark penny in high-grade, red, condition can command an astonishing price in today's collector market. The demand for early 1950s Lincoln cents has surged, as collectors scramble to complete their post-war sets with coins that still gleam like the day they were struck. So many people have spent these pennies without ever realizing what they held in their hands. I've heard stories of folks paying for coffee with one of these gems, coins that could have paid for an entire vacation today. Don't let that be you. Every time a coin like this gets lost to circulation, a little piece of history disappears forever. When you hold a 1950 penny, look closely at the date. There should be no mint mark below it, meaning it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Examine the color and condition. The brighter the original copper red tone, the more valuable it could be. Turn it under the light, check Lincoln's profile, and pay attention to the sharpness of the lettering. A crisp strike and luster could mean you're holding something truly special. If you think you found one worth checking, don't guess, get it certified by trusted experts like PCGS or NGC. These professional grading services can confirm its authenticity and assign it an official grade that determines its market value. A properly graded 1950 no-mint mark penny can fetch an impressive sum at auction or from passionate collectors. So before you spend another penny, take a moment to look a little closer. That small coin resting in your kitchen drawer or tucked in your old jar could be more than change. It could be your piece of American history, a tiny time capsule from a simpler, prouder era. Treasure the hunt, because the next great discovery might be sitting right in front of you. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you uncover the stories, and the fortunes, hiding in plain sight.